Hi there, buddy. How you doing? Hi from Denmark. Good to see you again, dude. I remember you by your very unique name. I remember you said that's your actual name. So that was very interesting. That was very interesting. How you doing, man? How's life? Alrighty, alrighty. Let me just figure out what do we do today in this stream. All right, nice, nice. Okay. Gonna open that one up as well. Yeah, I think last time I streamed, I don't know when that was, maybe a week ago or so. I believe we were working on this form action stuff that I wanted to finalize. Yeah, right. So maybe we could technically finalize that and then see where the stream takes us today, right? Okay, let's actually do that. So let's start there maybe. Let me just clean up a bit here. Let's see, what do we have here? So we have that. So we're gonna have to have the modals text and stuff like that, right? And then there's also one rendering issue here, which relates to the fact that it would be nice if we can actually show this spinning when it's actually deleting. Let me actually memorize what I've done last time I worked in this. Yeah, so here we have a promise where we are trying to demonstrate that. But we could do the optimistic updates as right, so we could technically just delete and then fail with a toaster or whatever. So we could in fact implement a toaster as part of this solution, right? Do I have, when I built this library, did we like, okay, sure. And then we have this service, this toaster service here. So we could move this technically to Yale and then kind of reuse it from there, right? Yeah, I think so. So we could move this to our core library and then we could implement it here. Yeah, right? question is, do I want to do that? Do I want to couple it like that, right? You get convenience over... yeah, interesting. Yeah, we'll have to see soon, I suppose. So maybe I can leave it there, in fact. I know very little of blockchain. Pretty much nothing, almost. So, unfortunately not. Unfortunately, no. I'm not into the land of blockchain, unfortunately. Okay, I mean, so we can leave this as is, I guess. I don't want to spend much time on this crap. Yeah, I don't want to spend much time on that, so we can leave this. So I guess the only thing I can do is extend this with... so I can say... Xeotic, hey buddy. So I guess here we can say modal... I guess I could go ahead and give me 1 second. Yeah, something like that we could technically do, right? All right, let's actually leave it like that. Or do you want to put an end? Put... Yeah, let me try that very quickly. And then over here, we can just have a default, right? So we don't have to worry about that, right? Do you want to nuke this? And we should probably have some min width so this crap doesn't look so bad, right? So we can probably, somewhere over here, we can say min width of, I don't know, 300 should technically suffice on mobile as well. But this, yeah, that's probably not gonna work again, because it's the modal that we need the min width on, right? It's our native dialog. So here we can say min width 300, right? Let's actually say 500, and then we have to also say we need to smack in this prefix in there, right? Yeah, okay. 500 is probably too much. Let's try 300. Yeah, 350. What's the size of the smallest mobile? I think that's like an iPhone SE or something like that, right? Shit. Actually, doesn't Storybook has the mobile, the responsive view, right? So if we say small mobile, yeah, so that's not gonna suffice, right? So we can do this. We can say, I guess, we can do MD, right? Then if we go back to, oops. Then if we reset, that should still be fine, right? So here we're gonna say min width max. Is that possible? And there's probably something. Best viewers, or shut the fuck up. Do you know why everyone's saying Next.js is really bad? Because it's really hard to deploy it outside Vercel. However, I have never seen people not being able to deploy it. Is this generation or just kind of... Well, you have to understand that the average developer today is very unskilled, right? So, I mean, I've been in this industry, and you've been following this stream for a long time. I've been in this industry for 20 years, and I went through a lot of different things and stuff. This generation right now, I don't blame them necessarily because they're just inheriting the world of IT as is. Most people have absolutely zero idea of anything besides clicking buttons and doing things, right? So infrastructure-wise, majority of people suck really hard. Majority of people know very little of security, infrastructure, servers, etc., right? So it doesn't surprise me that somebody would say such stuff, because even these people who are using these monolithic hells, as I call them, like Next.js and stuff, even they, many of them are saying things basically what they hear or read somewhere, because the entire generation of new developers today mostly just talk stuff out of complete ignorance, right? So there's around 5 to 10 things that this new generation repeats every time in this stream and everywhere else that I hear, and they just repeat it because they heard it on YouTube or from their main influencer, etc., right? So people saying that, you know, deploying whatever anywhere comes mostly from absolute lack of knowledge, nothing else, right? So and that it's not surprising, because again, you have the whole generation of people who've never actually even wanted to know how these things work. Hey, when I click this button in Vercel or AWS or GCP or Azure, what does this actually do, right? What does this button do? When I click deploy, what's actually happening, right? So if you don't know what's happening, this should be your little workshop to do for yourself. You owe this to yourself, right? So people saying this like very idiotic stuff is no surprise again, because you're guarded. You have a whole generation of programmers who are just guarded from everything. We have never lived through such a massive abstraction as today, right? Because today everything is abstracted. Now you're writing code by prompting, so we're no longer even doing that. Infrastructure is deployed with one click, right? And this is great. I mean, for product development, this is awesome. So a PM, a CTO, right? This is great for companies. But you as a software engineer, if you even call yourself that, owe yourself to know how things work. This has nothing to do necessarily with, do I need it? Will I or do I not need it, right? You owe yourself to know. If you can't explain how your infrastructure works, doesn't matter where it is, then you get what I mean, right? So I still do my infrastructure. As you know, Programmer Network is fully self-hosted with my own Docker images and Docker Swarm and Compose and etc., right? So and I do that for decade and a half, and I have my own Kubernetes cluster here at my office. I do it because I know that we are reaching a point as well where people like me will be needed more than ever. Because you're gonna have a whole new generation of people, clickers, like clicking in video games instead of using shortcuts, right? So if you don't know, you must know, right? This is just, yeah, that's unfortunately just how it is. I'm sorry, let me just, I want to finish this. I don't want to spend any time on this. It's kind of not that important, right? I just need to move very fast with it. Hello, sir, I'm from India. To be honest, I don't know if I remember you, because there's a lot of people passing through this stream, right? But yeah, I mean, good to see you again, man. Good to see you again. YouTube chatters, yeah. Yeah. Ooh, what happened here? Did I like... I guess that would be the correct way to write that, right? Yeah, right? Mm-hmm. And then this should be 350 right now, right? If we look at the compound properties here, right? That should be 350. Including the entire box model, right? Yeah, it is 361. Yeah, that's a bit... It's like box sizing is not applied there. So weird. Min width 3. Okay, that's fine. We have a min width, right? And then I guess... I mean, yeah. I mean, you know what? Actually, let's just do it like this. Let's just say MD width 350. Always, right? All right, cool. And the only thing I suppose we could do here, let me just try one thing. Let me just bear with me for a second. Nah. Because we don't really want that, right? So can we say like... Can you program in C++? Yeah, I can. Hi, Rose. Hey. Give me 1 second. So yeah, I mean, I'm not so sure about this, right? So actually, let's just say this essentially, right? We're just gonna always keep it 350. And I just want to do more fun shit than this, right? So let's actually say something like this. On Monday, I've landed my first job as trainee developer at a private company. Do you have any suggestions on my first job? I mean, try to make a difference, right, from day one. Be curious, understand that everything is about people, right? Build connections. That's the most important. That's the most important part, right? Is building connections, right? Because at the end of the day, if you haven't built a network of people properly, then it's all for nothing, right? So the most important thing is that you are a nice human being, that you're nice to work with, and that you, of course, stay curious and you try to make a change no matter how inexperienced you are, right? At the end of the day, we are always measured by the things we achieve, not the things that we talk about and stuff like that, right? So, as I always say, read some Stoic philosophy, some Stoicism, and be proactive, not reactive, right? Focus on making a change and focus on being useful, because at the end of the day, you're going to be paid for what you achieve, not for what you are saying or pretending to be or want to be or whatever, right? So nobody cares about your text editor, about your operating system, about any of this crap. The only thing that matters really is what you achieve, right? So don't forget that. That's pretty much all you need. It's about actions. It's not about bullshit, right? I'm a backend developer and really want to learn about deploying my servers and stuff. Can you point me in the right direction? Absolutely, I can. Yes. Well, I mean, first thing that you need to do is learn Docker if you don't know it, right? Docker is probably the most amazing tool that we got since virtual machines, right? So so definitely the Docker is the first Docker is the first step, right? So learn how to run a basic Docker image locally, right? Learn how to get into the container, right? And then at one point in time, you're gonna ask a very logical question. Now I would like to add another container. So now I have another container and I want this to be my database. So how can I make these two containers work together, right? And then you're gonna get to a point of orchestrators, right? You're gonna say, is there some tool in the infrastructure world that I can use to, you know, make containers easily communicate to each other, make some private networks, public networks, etc., etc. Then you're gonna learn about Docker Compose and Docker Swarm and Kubernetes. Of course, Kubernetes you shouldn't be thinking about. But Docker is the first step. Everything on the internet runs on Docker, right? So when you press that shitty button in your Vercel, or when you press some crappy button in GCP or AWS, behind the scenes, it's all just containers, just isolated mini operating systems running your apps, and they're all communicating via some networking, etc., 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 right? So if you want to learn about the infrastructure, then of course Docker is the first step, right? Oh, I see. It's because we no longer actually have that, right? Yeah, but you can't just send the connections man randomly on LinkedIn, right? That's very awkward and weird. I would never accept that, right? You cannot just randomly reach out to people, right, that you don't know. Go out, join meetups, go to events, do it online, right? Inside of these streams, go to other platforms, right? Follow people on LinkedIn, leave some comments, get them to know you, right? Let me just infrastructure-wise. I'm actually recording a course on Udemy for that. Hopefully one day I'll finish it. Look. So this is how every infrastructure on the planet starts, right? No matter the complexity, every single infrastructure on this planet that exists started with one service, right? It started with something. So you're gonna have some container, right? And very typically, if you're a backend engineer, this is gonna be your API, right? It can be Go, JavaScript, Node, right? C#, whatever, right? You have an API, and then you have some front end somewhere, right? Some client, a phone app, web app, smartwatch app, whatever it is. Then you have a client. So this is how everything starts, really. And then you have a database, or databases, right? Let's call that storage, right? So typically, a typical developer, if you're not using Docker, you're just setting this up all locally in your own computer, and then you're running these commands, you're setting up stuff there, right? At one point in time, if you want to do infrastructure, you're gonna, of course, have to start using Docker, and you're gonna have to say, okay, I'm gonna have, maybe let's imagine this is 3 Docker services, right? So this is, let's just say container 1. This is container 2, right? And then this is container 3, right? So what are containers? Well, they're just our applications running in isolated environments, right? So we're gonna prepare some images, write some Docker files, and then we're gonna have our containers, which are basically, all of these containers are just hosts running our application in isolation, right? And then you're gonna say, well, yeah, that's great, Alex. Now I have 3 containers, but how can I make them talk to each other, right? How can I make them interface with each other, right? And of course, you can do this without Docker Compose. You can do all of this just with Docker. But Docker Compose and Docker Swarm, and eventually one day Kubernetes, which we're not going to talk answering this specific question, just make things easier, right? So with Docker Compose, it just becomes very easy to orchestrate them, right? So you're going to say, hey, I want my client to be able to talk. This is like a request response lifecycle to my API, and my API needs to talk to my database. This is the reason why I'm doing this is the most typical application that exists on a typical internet, right? And then you're going to say, okay, I'm going to actually write all of these things inside of a Docker Compose like this. So we say send backwards. And this is our Docker Compose, this green thing, right? So these are our containers. And then this is our compose, right? And this is where you start. Once you get here, then you already know so much. Now you're already capable of having this application deployed anywhere, on any VPS or whatever. You can use Hetzner, DigitalOcean, AWS, Lightsail, bunch. You can get cheap servers anywhere you want, right? So you then take this compose file and you deploy it anywhere you want. Now, of course, deploying and stuff is a different subject. So you can do infrastructure as code. You can also just manually SSH into your server and run a compose file, right? But then, of course, you're going to go into, okay, how do I back up my database? How do I create a cron that backs up my database n number of times a day, etc., 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 right? So there's many things. But you basically want to start here. Just here. Just a Docker container, right? So how do I write a Docker file? How do I start it? How do I expose my services or service from it, right? So these are the basic questions you start. This is very powerful. Once you know this, then the next question again is, how can I compose many of these services together, right? Etc., 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 right? So this is where you start with infrastructure. My project manager told me to learn a PHP framework, Code Igniter. What should you do? I mean, if they have official website, I mean, I don't know what's up with this generation in YouTube videos. Do you guys realize that YouTube is not some sort of holy grail place of learning things, right? If you need to learn something, go to the official website of that technology and learn it there. You want to learn Node.js? Well, go to the fucking Node.js website. You want to learn Rust? Go and learn Rust in Learn Rust, right? You want to learn whatever code Igniter is? Yeah, go learn more and read the documentation. I mean, does everything have to be served with a spoon in your mouth, right? This is what being engineer is. I mean, is reading things and understanding them and having patience, right? So, I mean, I don't understand what exactly is the problem. Just go here and learn it, right? What is this obsession with YouTube? I don't get that, honestly. Right? Just go there and do it. All right. Okay, let's just deploy this. Wait a minute. I guess we'll need to just fix that test, right? Yeah, let me just fix that test very quickly. Free space, hey buddy. All right, am I happy with this fully right now? I don't know, honestly. Not really, but I think it's fine. I just don't want to spend more time on it. Let's make handle close and delete. On save. All right, let's just deploy this, right? I mean, I have no feelings, man, so it didn't hurt my feelings. I'm just saying, just if you want to be, you're just getting into the industry, right? Now you're just getting into it, and you're already lazy. That's not a good sign, man. Right? I'm a realist, man. I'm not gonna tell you things just so you can hear them nicely, right? So if I need to find a website for you and you want to call yourself an engineer, then that's very scary, right? If I need to go and spend 3 seconds, I literally wrote one thing, code igniter, and the first thing that I got is the right thing, right? So, I mean, what YouTube? What are we talking about, right? Go here and read it, man, and learn it. That's it. I don't know what... Is there something that's missing here? Right? So it's to give you the honest advice, not to bullshit you or sugarcoat you, right? So if you want to learn things, don't be lazy. If you want somebody to teach you this in 5 minutes on YouTube, that's not gonna happen, right? It's fundamental, it's crucial that you build up proper skills from the day one, right? If you teach yourself to be lazy and you barely even started, then you're not gonna get anywhere. Is that custom tailwind? No, it's not custom. It's just a suffix. It's because this is the open source library that I built. So I have kind of decoupled my UI component library from the core front-end project, right? So it's just yeah. Please take no offense, man. I mean you well, right? Just don't be lazy. There's nothing worse in life than being lazy. It's crazy, man. I'm gonna say it as it is, right? All right. So we need to deploy this to Not true, there's a lot worse thing than being lazy. Maybe there are things worth being lazy, sure, but that doesn't make being lazy not bad, right? Let's not be absolute here, right? Let's not be absolute, right? Laziness is one of the worst things that a person can experience in life. One of the worst things for sure, if not the worst, right? Because there's no cure against that, unless not being lazy, right? Because lazy people are typically people who complain the most. Because they're lazy, it's always someone else's fault. There's always a reason why something isn't done. There's always a person or country or their government that's the reason of their failures, right? So people who are proactive, not reactive, people who are going forwards and building and doing things, they typically don't complain. They provide solutions and stuff, right? So one of the core issues with the opposite is laziness, right? When you're lazy, you just try to justify everything. You try to bullshit your way through, right? There's no easy wins, man. You need to put in effort and work, and that's it. There's no shortcuts, man. Give me one sec. Right. And I never said that you're lazy, by the way. I'm not talking about you. I'm just talking in third person. I don't know. How can I know if you're lazy or not, man? So we're gonna deploy this crap. The people not yet having automated. The thing is, I mean, I read a lot of bullshit online about software engineers being, obsolete and stuff soon. I can just tell you this. If if that happens to us, then you can remove 99% of other industries as well, right? I mean, I see these like product managers saying, oh, I'm no longer gonna need software engineers. Like, man, if software engineers are not needed, imagine then what happens to you as a product manager, right? Because if AI can fully automate programming, imagine how easy it is to automate your shitty fucking job assigning tasks to teams, right? So it's ridiculous, right? There's a lot of this very shallow thinking on the internet right now. It's crazy. If we manage to obsolete ourselves from this industry, then imagine what's gonna happen to others. How do I exit Vim? I don't know, man. Nobody knows. All right, so we're gonna get that there. You're gonna get that there. Don't use Vim. That's the best one, yeah. No, but unplug it from the socket. There's too much of hustle culture requires to be most productive, everything. I have no idea what you mean by that. Sorry, that's super vague. My brain works like a robot, right? I use common sense and logic to discuss things. I can't, unfortunately, now derive what that means, what you just said. I have no idea what is a hustle culture or what is a thief of joy. You need to be more precise. I have no idea what that means. If you think you're gonna get a raise by being lazy, you will not. If you think you're gonna advance much from where you are right now, you will not. There's no overvalue productivity. Productivity is the most valuable thing you can have in life if you want to progress in anything, right? I've never, please take no offense, I've never heard anything more idiotic past at least 3 seconds because I hear a lot of stuff than that. Overvalue your productivity. Are you saying that being productive is overvalued? Come on, man. Let's not bullshit each other, okay? That makes no sense, dude. Of course, if you're stupid like fuck and if you just expect that without any social skills you're gonna get somewhere by being productive, sure, we can agree on that a human being needs to have various types of skills to advance, true. But saying that productivity can be overvalued is ridiculous, right? People who are the most productive, who bring the most value to their companies, are typically people who make either the most money, hold the best positions. Are there exceptions to this? Sure. Is there corruption? Is there this and that? Of course. But in majority of companies, being... I don't know what the fuck are you talking about. Who said that? What are you talking about, man? I don't understand what you're talking about, seriously. Who mentioned the good or bad person? I have no idea now. I'm a little bit confused. What do you mean good or bad person? I never mentioned character in that. Hi there. Pluser27. I never mentioned character traits nor correlated them to being productive. I don't know, honestly, what are you talking about? For 1 second, nobody mentioned that. What does that have to do with character? What does being productive has to do with your character? Can you elaborate on that? Are you saying that people who are productive are inherently bad? Is that the philosophy so if you're productive, you must be a bad person? Is that what we're talking about here? All right, let's restart this container. Alrighty. All right, cool. Okay. So this is basically what I want. Yeah, but okay. I mean, look. I think that Subhas, I'm gonna answer your questions, man. Just keep in mind, this is not one-to-one session. I cannot just sit here and answer your questions for like 2 hours. So be patient, please. I mean, this is not like you didn't pay me here one-to-one, so I answer your things. So I have to answer some other questions as well. Karax, I think that what you're saying nobody disagrees with, but the way that you formulate your thoughts is simply flawed, right? Because the way that you write these things, you are writing them as they're all mutually exclusive, which they are not, right? So this is the flaw in your thinking right now. Because if you read your own sentence, you will realize that it's flawed, right? Because you're assuming that investing time in being productive means not investing into being a good person or taking care of yourself. I have no idea how did you correlate these things. In fact, I think if you're being productive, you're gonna have more time to take care of yourself and be a better person, right? So how did you manage to land in a place where they're mutually exclusive, right? I don't get that. I think I have hardware here. Alrighty, so yeah, I believe it's somewhere around here, right? Yeah. Oh, fuck. We might have forgotten one thing. Give me 1 second. All right, I have no idea what you're talking about at this point. I'm sorry. I think your logic is not very yeah. Yeah, actually, I did forget to export this, right? Even though I don't even know if we have the types exported separately. We don't, right? Okay, so let's right, yeah. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. Alrighty, cool. Cool. Let's smack that there. Sure, cool. Let's create a new tag because our right, yeah. All right, fuck. I should probably automate that, write some script that actually does this automatically. Because every time I extend this core library with a new component, utility, or whatever, I have to manually kind of also, yeah, we need to wait for this to be deployed now again. Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess we can close this. Random question: do people not use the function constructor and attaching functions to prototype of the object the function returns anymore? I know classes, synthetic sugar. The thing is, so yeah, it's a very good question. Finally, somebody who appreciates JavaScript as a language. So for example, using prototypal inheritance in that way, right, you could say is definitely possible, right? Think about it this way, right? Imagine that you have a class myNumber that extends from number, right? So now we are extending the native JavaScript number prototype, right? And then here, but you wouldn't do it this way. So the short answer is no, we don't do that, and we mostly don't do that because we are now mostly working with modules, right? So in simple words, so for example, you can, of course, if you create your own class, then it doesn't matter. But if you wanted to extend, so for example, if we go to JSBin, if you know, like for example, in JavaScript, let's imagine you say 123.map, right? And then you have some function myFn, right? Some callback for each one of these numbers. And let's imagine you say return number by 2, right? Right, and then we create, because this is immutable, right? It's going to return a new array. Then we print that, right? Let's say array, right? So if we do this, we're going to get the expected output, of course, 2, 4, and 6. But what we could also do to this map, we could override the map by overriding its native prototype, right? So you can say array.prototype.map, right? And then you can say it's a function myNew fn whatever. And now we could override what this does. So that's where a prototype could be useful in a way, right? So hey, actually, but then this could be useful if you wanted to do it for your entire project, right? So you have this globally somewhere defined where you alter the native JavaScript functionality of the functions or the methods used, right? But your question was, do people not use functions starting attaching functions to prototype of the object? I think that not overriding the native JS functions, or sorry, prototypes, right? But every time you create a class in JS, when you say class foo, then you're adding methods to that prototype. It's just that this is a ES6 syntax. Before we would say, you know, things such as, you know, objects. So you would do like you would do something like, let's say, let's try to compose an example. You would use, you know, .call and binds for the context, right? But then you would also do such things such as, let me just try to construct some example. Let's actually go. Let me show you. So you could do, of course, something like this, just function, just using a function keyword. This is what we used before we had a class, right? So you would create a function, you would typically capitalize it, right, like this, to imply that it's a class and not just a regular function, right? And then we would bind things in this way, right? I mean, we don't do this much anymore, right? Mainly because today most people actually don't know JavaScript in the first place, and the reason why they don't is because tools that we use, modern tools, are guarding people from this, right? So not many years ago, 10 or 15 years ago, we used to write a lot of JavaScript, a lot more JavaScript than today. So you would have to know how this works, how prototypal inheritance works, etc., etc., etc. Today, right, because you're so encapsulated in the mindset of the frameworks, you simply don't have a necessity to do this. So if you're building a library, for example, you would need to know this. So if you're building a library or a framework or whatever, you need to know these basic patterns, right? But if you're just a developer building products, you don't really today need to know any of this, right? So the answer is kind of no for the most part, yes. All right, cool. Let's see, did this get deployed? Did we deploy this version 2.19? Yeah, we did, okay. No, you're not derailing. It's a very good question. I mean, I love JavaScript, man. I used to teach it for almost 6 years at the bootcamp, so I know I love a lot of these low-level, under quotes, a lot of these low-level details, right? All right, cool. So now we can get back to this crap and go to, let's say, go here and then try using this component. So that was the whole point of it, right? So I suppose getting rid of this, and then we can say form actions, or what did I guess we need to restart the TS server so it picks up the new stuff. Subhas, I did, man. I told you to have some patience, man. All right, cool. There's no handle preview. What's going on in here? Oh. All right, cool. Outplayed. Hey, buddy. Good to see you. You good? Give me 1 second. I just need to restart the Docker container. All right, cool. Okay, let's see. So that crap is there now, right? Sure. And then the delete is here as well. Yeah, I'm not sure what I think about it though, but we'll see. iSense, hey buddy, it's been ages. What's up? Yeah, that was yeah, I don't know why the hell did I do this, man. What a fucking mistake. That's terrible. Yeah, man, yeah. I'm not also streaming much, man. I stream maybe twice, 3 times a month, so I haven't been around much. How much did these... So when I used to work at there, it would take 6 months. It would take 6 months, if I recall. Yeah, why the hell did I do that, man? Let's also, while we're here, is it enough of time? So To be honest, yes, absolutely. The thing is, so the biggest problem with people when I used to teach at the bootcamp, also when I used to work at the Technical University of Denmark here, the biggest technical university in Scandinavia. So the biggest problem of people learning anything really isn't the bootcamp or the content or the mentor, right? It's the people themselves, right? So in simple words, no matter what type of course you take, a bootcamp, a university course, whatever you do, right? Are you going to succeed is 99.9% related to yourself, not to the program, right? So is it enough of time? For some people, yes. For people who put in the effort, yes. Unfortunately, I think 70% of people don't put in the effort, right? 70-80% of people, they don't put in the effort. So it depending how you want me to answer that question. So is it enough? Yes, but statistically people fail a lot, right? Because you have to study 25, 30, 40 hours a week, and majority of people underestimate that. They underestimate it a lot, actually. So as always, right, it really boils down to the amount of effort one wants to put in, right? If you put in the effort, of course, like with everything else in life, that's really, in many cases, no matter where you come from, some people come from a better or worse place, sure. Some people have an edge at the start, but with the sufficient amount of commitment, you can really catch up and then go over them, right? Easily, right? Because it always equalizes. Let me show you, and I can even show it on my own example. I also come from the Balkans originally, right? I lived through a lot of shit, wars and stuff like that. Let me show you. You have a person that's starting from a shitty place. You have a person A starting from a shitty place. You have a person Y starting from a great place, right? The biggest downside of this person here is that they're very comfortable, right? So typically, not all of it, it doesn't always, but this guy is, you know, born in a nice place, blah, blah, blah. Then you have this guy who doesn't want to be in a shitty place. He wants to be this guy, right? So this guy now works super fast. This guy wants it so hard. He wants to get, at the very least, here where this guy is, right? And I mean, you can see examples of this all around the world. I mean, just look at the CEO of Apple, right? Look at a bunch of these people coming from India, Pakistan, various types of places on Earth, right? Not right. So this guy wants it so hard that he puts in 5x effort, 10x effort, whatever, right? So that is the irony of life. No matter where you start from, right? It can be tough, it can be shitty. This guy just moves very slow. Because they're kind of already, they're used to that lifestyle. They're just used to kind of, you know, everything works. They are born in a society where things simply work well. While this guy here is from some shithole somewhere, and he wants it really hard, right? So if you put in sufficient amount of effort, no matter the variables surrounding your life, you can and will succeed. Actually, I would much rather say will succeed, right? But without effort, of course, I mean, it would be great if we can just do nothing, right? But that's not the case. That's how it is. All right, cool. All right, so let me just go back to my, so we need to wait for this crap to get deployed again. Let me just take a look at my list of things that I want to do while I have the time. So we've just done that. Oh yeah, let's actually do that one. I suppose. Shit. There can be job-ready devs after those bootcamps, but usually, for sure, man, for sure. I had some talented students that eventually became better than me. They're very, very talented, right? Today, they're very good. Some of them work at some prestige companies in the Silicon Valley, for sure, man. But statistically, it's not good. Statistically, it's pretty bad, right? Because programming is fundamentally very hard, right? Programming is hard, and it takes many years to master. It takes many years to build yourself as an individual who can function in such environment as well, right? So for sure, man, for sure. It's definitely possible, but it's yeah. I think that only works if the person from the shitty place has an opportunity to improve. If your life is really shitty and you need all your time and energy just to survive. I mean, of course, I agree with you, Free Space, that there is levels of this, right? There's levels of shitty. There's levels of great. I agree with that. I think that if you live in Europe, at least, at the very least, if you live anywhere in Europe, anywhere, if you live anywhere in the US, right, your shitty cannot be so shitty that you have no choice. I was born in one of these places myself, so I'm not talking out of my asshole, right? If you're born in some tribe somewhere, sure, I agree with you 100%. But I think in many cases, you can, in fact, pull yourself out. And people who pity themselves living in Western part of the world anywhere, they have no excuse, most of them, right? So, of course, there's a level of that, I agree with you. But we can't, do comparisons like that. Like, go all the way to, we're talking about people starving from hunger, right? That's very radical example. Give me 1 second. I just want to get inspired a little bit. I just wanna... Didn't I, have access to this crap? I don't know what the name of that crap was. That's what I'm confused about. I guess, but not tags. What would be the name of that? Shit, man, my brain. Give me 1 second. I think didn't I have something like that already? Shit, man, what was it? Yeah, I know, man. Everything gets breached. There's no product out there that hasn't been breached, right? Who cares, man? Badge, yeah, shit, that's it, right? I knew it. I knew that I had some crap, right? Okay. Let me just get over here very quickly. I just want to create something, just improve this a little bit. Maybe let's use AI for this one. Fuck it. Just, I don't feel like doing this shit. Okay. Let's say here, yeah. Let's improve this badge. Nah, actually, we don't need AI. Fuck that. It's very simple, right? Let's just do it ourselves. So what do we have here? We have rounded border. Sure, fine. PX. All right, cool. Let me just go ahead over here and let's just say, yeah, but is that really filled? Wait. All right, so that would be filled. I see. I don't know. Empty, I guess. All right, so maybe we'll just, okay, let's just do it like this. Fuck it. Yeah, all right. So let's do it a little bit different. Sure. So let's call this a let's just maybe do it like this, right? Yeah, sure. And then over here, we're gonna say, let's do it. No, that's not what I wanted. No, not quite. Variance. Sure. Yep. Maybe. I mean, I suppose we could make this more stable, so enforce the variant, right? And then we can do this, right? Sure, wow. And then we need to update these. Need to update this enum. This as well, right? Let's see what the hell happened now. All right. Sure, so we have primary twice. Okay, so what I wanted really is to have something like alpha and beta. Of course, that class doesn't exist, but we'll make it because I need some tags that I... and then we'll extend the enum as well. And then over here, I'm going to do a little bit radical stuff. So I'm going to say... craft friend, hey, I'm gonna say BG Violet 500, right? And new is gonna be blue or whatever. So let's extend this with 2 more stories. Sure, there we go, right? So that's what I wanted. And let's just say here, beta. Okay, I wonder if we need some icon for these. I don't know, but that's really what I want to do now with the features for programming network, right? By the way, did anyone? By the way, please, yeah, make sure to sign up. Thanks. All right, great. So we have that now. Do we have any tests written for this crap? Yeah. Learning to code is hardly the problem. I have to disagree with that fully. I think that's, I know it's not intentional misinformation or anything like that. I think that's one of the most it's one of the most misunderstood things so this cannot be like, I don't know how to say it, right? But saying that for most people learning to program is easy has been a fallacy in programming world for 30 years, right? Learning to program properly is very hard and it takes many years, right? Can you learn how to do 5 steps in a row and mimic them in a couple of months? Of course, right? Right? So anyway, most AI sucks. No, every single AI tool out there is absolutely amazing, right? If you can't get AI to be useful to you, then the problem is with you. I don't know what you mean, most AI sucks. AI is amazing, man. All right, cool. So did our tests pass? I actually didn't see that. AI vacuum product suck. Okay, I don't know much about those. Yeah, that I trust you. That I trust you. That I trust for sure. Yeah, yeah. And hello, man. AI vacuuming. Yeah, are you kidding me? There's AI vacuums today. Is that for real? AI vacuum. Oh my fucking god. What is next? What is next? AI dildo? Like, Jesus Christ, man. Buy this intelligent dildo and have the best orgasms ever. Amazing. AI vacuum cleaner. Are you fucking kidding me, bro? That's hilarious. Sorry. Buy this super intelligent dildo today based on our latest AI model. Did you end up adding the explanation section about the site? Which one was it, Outplayed? Sorry. Which one? I forgot what we discussed. What was it? What was it that we discussed? Please remind me again. Okay, was there something else? So we just deployed this one. I mean, I'm sure, dude, that... Yeah, not really, man. I haven't done much work past week or two. I was busy with other things. The thing is, I mean, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I mean, if you don't know, if you go to www.programmer.network and you kind of still have a hard time understanding what it is about, then this is not to say that I'm not going to do something when I have the time, right? But I find it hard to, I don't know. I find it very difficult that if you go there and you don't know what it is when you go to sign up page, right? If you don't know what it is, then yeah, I don't know. Maybe, yeah. Smile, hey. Oh no, I've added it to the stream because people ask me what is this stream about, and I'm like, all right. Oh, okay, so wait, we need to update the API for this one, I believe. Give me 2 seconds. Yes, sure. Okay, nice, very good. Very good. Let me actually take a look at my Docker container there. So let's take a look at... Nice. Okay, actually, let's fix this and deploy it immediately. Valid input value for enum commentable type. Invalid input. Interesting. Okay, let's see what do we actually send in the request. So we have the headers. Nothing. It's a GET request, right? Yeah. All right, and this is v1 comments lecture. I see. Okay, let's go to... So we give it a lecture here, and it's saying that the commentable type is wrong, right? Okay, probably when I... Let's take a look at that here. Commentable type. So commentable type seemed to be correct there. Let's see, what is this endpoint? So v1 comments, commentable type, commentable ID, right? So if we take a look at that route, I'm using nothing for free, man. Everything that I use is paid by my company or by myself. It's just $20 or something. So no. You don't manage... I mean, I'm hoping that you're not just managing access control lists on the front end, because it's very fundamental that you do it in the back end. The front end is just visual, right? And when it comes to the front end, you can do that in many ways, right? You need to either write your own access control list system, something, or you can use Castle or something like that, right? So you can use, like, if I remember many years ago, this existed, yeah. And it's very good because it's isomorphic, right? Meaning you can use this if you have a JavaScript backend as well, like nodejs or bun.js or any of these 5 million variations. You should probably use Castle. Then you can, and this is very declarative, so it's very nice. Because the way that you do it, you create these abilities. So as you can see, it's very declarative. So you set some declarative rules. You create, like, you can see can, cannot, and build. So you can say can read, post, comment, etc. Right? I mean, you can't. No, that you cannot do that like that. No. You cannot propagate it to the front end, right? So you need a system that works in both ways, right? Because visually things have to work well, and user experience has to be great, and security-related stuff, of course, it's needless to say, we should not be saying this even, right? So backend is considered, and let's not even discuss that. For the UI, you need something to be able to. You need something declarative. Ideally, again, isomorphic, right? Something that you can reuse. So if you're writing Node.js, then something like this would typically be the best use case for you, right? Because you can reuse, you can even have a third library, right? So the way that you could do this, you can have, so basically the way that you would do it like this, you can have your, let's say, UI. You have your UI, you have your API or APIs, right? And then you can have some third repository, right? Some repo with your declarative rules, right? So in simple words, you would have your Castle, all of your Castle rules in a library that's shared between two code bases. So for example, if I show you some of the libraries I wrote for Programmer Network project, one of them being use AJV form, the reason why, so the validation library that I use for Programmer Network is this one, and this one I also made it in isomorphic ways. So in a sense, I reuse another JSON validator schemas between my backend and my frontend, right? So schemas on both ends are the same, and then this UI library knows how to render my errors from the API, right? So isomorphic stuff is awesome when you can make it work and when you're using the full stack JS, right? Because that's typically the only time when it's available is then, right? All right, so that's deployed to npm. Nice. All right. Anyway, let me fix this. Sorry. So we need to search for commentable types. So this is kind of where we fart out. Let me isolate this by just commenting out the actual gefood. Hey, gefood. So let's go back here and refresh this crap again. Are we still getting the same shit? Bad requests still? Sure. Let's take a look at the Docker container again. So okay, so this is the call stack. Very good. So we do have the call stack. So if we actually go in here, if we do this, line 80. Okay, so this is where we fart out, right? This is where we fart out. Get comments by commentable ID. All right, let me print that very quickly. So that's correct. That's correct as well. Invalid input value for enum comment commentable type lecture. I have used the AngularJS maybe 10-15 years ago, yeah. Angular 1. Okay, so that's weird. So this is probably so the issue most likely here is on our model. But our model should have the proper enum defined. Ah, shit, wow, okay. That's really bad, okay. Will I ever stop having imposter syndrome? Look, I'm a little bit harsh as a person, so I don't have much empathy for people who pity themselves, right? All of that fucking bullshit online about imposter syndrome and all of that crap, right, is the product of pussy ass, crying, bitching shit type of mentality that this community is creating, man. Just work hard, man, and put your head up and work and don't cry, right? Because I keep seeing this is becoming trendy now. Today, if you don't have ADD or some bullshit like that, or if you don't pity yourself, you're kinda not cool anymore, right? What can I tell you about that, man? Just grow fucking up, man. Your grandparents have been growing land, burning in their feet and hands, fucking with digging potato out of the ground. If you're sitting on the chair and feeling pity for yourself, right, for pressing keyboard keys, then I cannot help you, man. I cannot, right? Seriously, man, if you disagree with me, just think about your grandparents and their grandparents and their grandparents. You and I are so fortunate, we're so privileged that we cannot allow ourselves to be such bitches, honestly. This is my take. And I often find myself in a similar spot like you, but then I have to slap myself in the face, right? Because I'm just a little bit honestly sick of this. Whenever I go to YouTube, I'm bombarded by this. I'm having a hard time. You know, I don't know everything. Oh my god, like, come on, dude. Like, man, like we're so fucking privileged, man. Like, generations up until ours, they had to go to fucking work and actually do something. We're jerking off here with colors and shit like that, man. Let's, come on, man. I'm sometimes embarrassed seeing what I do today. I'm embarrassed. When I look at humanity, they built fucking roads and bridges and all of the shit, and I'm building web apps and feeling sorry for myself, like, oh, yeah, you know what I mean. So that's my take, man. Please take no offense. Absolutely don't mean it. I mean well, man. I mean the best. My intentions are the best. I just want to give you the best possible response. Nobody knows everything, man. Like that whole syndrome, that whole idea of, oh, I feel imposter syndrome, and you're probably a kind person, man, and you should follow your gut, man. It's good that you think that you don't know. None of us know. We all suck equally, right? And no matter how good you get at something, there's always so many things to learn, right? So if you ever think that you should be thinking that you know everything, then you should be worried, right? So it's better to think that you suck than better to think that you know everything. Because person that thinks that they know everything, nobody wants to work with that person, right? So, yeah. I know what's happening. I know what's happening, yeah. I know what's happening. Chica, my friend, hey. We need to, yeah. It's just, I think this is going to be an issue in production as well. I think we're going to have to write some migration file for this. Because now, this should actually end up working. Because I have kind of rebuilt the models and stuff, right? So that technically, if we take a look at our database, should in fact, where is it? Course, what was it? No, that was, yeah, comment, right? Yeah. And then if we take a look at the table definition here, commentable type refers to comment commentable type, which where can I see that though? Can I see it? I don't actually know. It doesn't matter. But I think that right now, if we actually go back here, and we'll unfortunately have to create a new course. So whatever, some text. Also that, yeah, I think yeah. Okay. So let's add a section. Let's add a lecture. Yeah, let's publish a course. Let's preview it. So yeah, so now as we can see, the comments should hopefully be working. We actually hit some undefined there. Okay, now it's correct. Yeah, so we can see that that works. Okay, fuck. Yeah, that's weird, man. That's weird. Okay, fine. That's good in a way. It's just the question now becomes though, crap. Give me 1 second. Let me just... can I actually just nuke some of these groups? I should be able to, right? Because I've been doing some other work here. All right, cool. So, yeah, so the only problematic thing now potentially could be that we need a new migration. But not this one. This one, the cascading one, I'll just nuke. We need a migration file that's gonna extend this enum, and that's always painful writing migration files because you need to duplicate the enum in Postgres, blah blah. Let me actually, where is that? Where's my yeah, so this is the change now. Oh, that's the UI. So this one, right? So we have extended this commentable type. Honestly, fuck, I mean, this gives us some validation, which is great, but it doesn't give us any convenience, right? So the biggest problem with this is that now, as we extend the platform with more features, that means that every single time we add a new feature, let's say projects, we're gonna have to write a migration file to extend this enum, and I hate that. We can enforce this validation on a different level, like this is now like truly defense in depth concept, right? Because we are over validating now. So we could say, hey, the constraint is not going to be on the table itself because we want convenience. We can enforce the constraint on another JSON validator in our JSON schema that's on top of our API instead. So actually, yeah. Okay, so cool. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, actually for the first time today, let's use some AI. Let's give it migrations. Given migrations and comments model, write a migration file that turns commentable type into a string instead of an enum. Yeah, that's not correct, but doesn't matter. Matt, hi there. That's not correct. This should be lowercase, right? Okay, anything else? Yeah, that should suffice, right? That should be correct. Did I? Wow, really? Did I like close my actual terminal? I did. Wow, okay. That's interesting. Let's see if this is gonna even work. Yeah, that's problematic now. Fuck. Oof. Yeah, I didn't wanna fix that one out because recently I've kind of improved the relative imports and aliasing and stuff. So now my SQLize is kind of having a hard time resolving the yeah, shit. Because when we build, so if we take a look at the dist, right? So we're gonna build this. That's kind of the stack trace, right? So in config.js here, we're calling certain things that it can't resolve, right? And that's a bit problematic because inside of the config, we are importing the constants. instead of the constants, we're importing this validation. And then validation is importing, I believe it's using relative imports here, which then the SQLi CLI is failing to resolve, right? That's what's happening here, we can see. So we somehow have to tell SQLi CLI, Husai, hey buddy, good to see you. Thank you for coming. Yeah, so we need to tell SQLi somehow, hey SQLize, shit, this is how you should resolve these things, right? Or instead of, yeah, okay, so we have two choices here. We can either do that, or we can tell our tooling somehow, I have no idea how right now, to not, so when we build, to actually replace aliases with the actual proper import paths, right? So let's see if we can do that. I would much rather do that somewhere. So if we take a look at our, I guess, tsconfig, you know what, let's actually just open our API separately in Cursor. Because right now I've opened it as a workspace, which makes work also with the AI a little bit more annoying, right? Okay, so let's use AI today a bit. So let's say is there a way to configure our tsconfig to not include actual aliases, but rather for the dist build directory to include properly for example, something should resolve to what part are you working on today? Honestly, I'm mostly just answering questions, and I have a list of things relation to courses that I want to fix. I'm basically now going on to, like, I don't know if you're signed up on Programmer Network. If you haven't, please do. But I'm now fixing, kind of improving the courses feature and stuff like that. So basically things related to that mostly. Okay, let's guide this tool on steroids to... No worries, man. I'm here to chat to you guys, so no worries. Absolutely no worries. You're not distracting me. Once you guys start distracting me, I will just turn the stop streaming button and then, yeah. Interesting. So this hopefully will work. This is awesome, right? This is exactly what I just kind of wanted to do, like what I explained literally a second ago. So we need some binaries, something that will actually, when we build the actual files, that will replace the actual aliases by the actual paths, right? So we want to use aliases in development for the developer experience, but when we build it, we actually don't care. We don't care what it is in production, right? So if we take a look at this now, and if we go to the same stuff again, config, it should be fine, right? Let's see. Yeah, I think this is amazing. Let's try this again. I mean, well, of course I have to see if this works, but that's only the tiny detail, is it? Okay, cool. So let's try this again. Let's try to run our migration. All right. I mean, yes, sure, definitely. Now we're just missing some envs and stuff. Client password must be strict. Sure, I think that's great. All right. Wait a minute. So let me just think here for a moment. So the fact that we now run stuff, run migrations, we build it and then run the migrations probably means that, let's try one thing. So if I take this env file, maybe, and move it and copy paste it here to dist. Let's just double check that. Then we go to package.json. Then we say, hey, don't build, just run this. We're fine with the build that we have right now. Let's see what happens now. Can it read dist config.js client? Okay, what if we do source? What if I do source env? Nice, there we go. Okay, super, super. Let's see what happens. Okay, got it. Super. So I think it's pretty good. Is your API public? I don't know what exactly you mean when you say is it public. Every API is public. That depends. Public to what? What do you mean? To what extent public? Public how? Every single website interfaces with some API that's accessible publicly, right? So you need to be more precise. So right now we're having another issue, which is mostly just a connection to a database, right? And we need to, yeah. All good. So pretty much what we need to do here now, right? Is, let's go here and let's expose our Postgres from our Docker Compose to be accessible. So if we go to Postgres, it's probably not exposed outside of the Docker Compose, right? Yeah. It actually is exposed, but here's the network, is just the backend, right? So most likely, yeah, so technically it should work, right? And I think the main reason why it doesn't is probably our envs are now wrong in that project there, because that was just... give me 1 second. No, of course, I mean, of course, no, I mean, no. You want to build a front end for programming network, is that what you're asking? All right, here it is. So potentially... Ah, shit, give me 1 second. Yeah, so actually that is, I mean, it has been already correct, it seems to me at least. Huh. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Oh, I see. Mm-hmm. I see. I mean, this should almost be instant, right? Because now it's trying to read from .env, right? Which is fine. Let's actually take a look at that. Setup env. .env is false. Yeah, that's the problem now, right? Maybe. Schema conf key env. Port. Yeah, so it's basically it can't reach the database, almost as if, right? So if we but that should not be a problem, right? Because I'm actually connecting to that same database over here, right? So for sure it is accessible outside of the orchestrator, right? So if we added the connection over here, the only thing that could be problematic is the actual host, right? Let's try. Yeah, this is the problem. Of course, this is not gonna work, right? Of course, because this is the name of the service inside of our Docker Compose, right? This has to be our local host, right? So that's the problem. That is the problem, right? Yeah. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. Very good. Okay, so that one is good. So no changes necessary there. Okay, very good, very good. Add cascade delete meetups. Very good. So this is also kind of goodish, but that's not what I really wanted to do. Add cascade delete meetups. Yeah, that's not necessarily what I wanted. Because this cascading stuff is, yeah. I wonder whatsoever, did it change this? So let's take a look at the table. Let's take a look at the comment table. And let's see if it's a string now or not. So commentable type should be now your vibe is good. Can you tell, bro? I mean, do you not see the link right before my picture? And also the link on top of the chat? Yeah, so fuck no, it's still not updated. Shit. Oof. So let's actually get rid of this one because that's the one that failed. Let's try again. Yeah, because of course it doesn't exist because okay, so we can get rid of these because they were migrated before. And then let's try this one. Rename date field. What the fuck? What date field, man? Oh, sorry, I know. Actually, no, we need to, I mean, do I know actually? Because we did rebuild, right? So if you take a look at this, migrations. Oh, yeah. So we're not nuking this thing, so it keeps rerunning this same shit, right? Okay, let's try that again. There we go, nice. Okay, so if I rerun this again, we should technically have this set to string, right? Commentable type varchar 255. Very good. Okay, let me answer a question. Hey, I have a question. Let's assume I want to record the login history, but this has nothing to do with my real data, only for analytics reasons. Do I need to save them to my real DB or Opal Elementary Analytics DB? Way to go. That depends what you want to do with that data, right? So this can be done in countless ways. Let me give you a few solutions. So first and foremost, okay, so let's start with super simple things, right? Right. So let's just start with the simple things. So if you want to have a login history, you could have a simple join table for users called user login history, right? Where every time a user logs in, whenever new, let's say, JSON web token is generated, or depending if you're doing authorization yourself or not, you can just store that record. You can just update that document, right? And that's simple. That you can do that in around 20 minutes, right? 15-20 minutes. Now, of course, if you need data in BigQuery, Snowflake, if you need some analytics data to correlate it with a user journey, if you're doing some marketing and sales, if you're doing some marketing attribution strategies, right? If you're correlating user IDs from identify calls from analytics libraries like Segment or Google Analytics and stuff like that, then that can be something different, right? And so that really depends on what you want, right? If you want just analytics, then you should be using analytics, preferably server-side analytics, because they're more accurate, they're harder to block. If you, of course, proceed with client-side analytics, then you need to add, bunch of different things. You need to add a GDPR banner and et cetera, right? So client-side analytics are the most flawed in a sense of them being blocked by users, blocking them using ad blockers, by refusing to accept the cookie policy. So in these circumstances, you would lose the login details because you would simply not fire these events unless person has explicitly accepted the policy, right? So the most deterministic way to do it and to ensure accuracy of this data, and because you also have transactions in Postgres or MySQL, then the table is probably the safest thing to ensure to have a stable thing, right? So every time when user logs in, update the record in your database. That is probably the best and the easiest way to do. Takes the least amount of effort and produces the most accurate data. Yeah, okay, cool. Hope that makes sense. Alrighty, very good. All right, cool. That's good. I don't know what you asked. If you're asking what am I building, you have literally a link to a website right below my camera. I don't understand really your question. Can you join Twitter? I guess you can. You can go and sign up. Yes. I think nobody understands what you're saying, man. I have no idea what you're talking about, my bro. Can you join Twitter? Yes. Winsword, yeah, it doesn't. That's what we're fixing now. I'm rounding up that. Yeah. Okay, so that's good. We need to log these versions very, very importantly. Man, it literally fucking says www.programmer.network. What the hell do you think it is? I don't get it. Do you think it's a platform for dancing and pet store? I don't get it. Like, I don't know what else have I don't literally know what else I have to do to convey that it's a programmer network. Yeah, so what do you think it is? When you yeah, I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. And I'm sorry, this is not about you. I genuinely am confused. I don't know if you guys are trolling sometimes or if it's something else. It's literally programmer.network. If that doesn't convey what it is, then I should probably fucking nuke it. Alright, it's useless, shut the fuck up now, or say something meaningful. Jesus fucking Christ, man. I have no idea what you're talking about. If it's useless, go somewhere and find something useful, dude. That's perfectly fine. You should, or say something meaningful, dude. I have no idea what you're blah-blahing about for 10 minutes now, man. Just nobody understands what the hell you're saying, dude. Nobody. Jesus fucking Christ, man. All right. Alrighty, I had to ban that moron. Okay, so let's commit this stuff. I think man, they're just a bunch of idiots on this platform and on YouTube as well. That's just what it is. And all, I mean, actually, okay, to be honest, not really idiots. I think that people fundamentally are just very lazy, right? I think people typically don't want to put any effort into anything, right? So it's, and then I also don't want to waste time answering these idiotic questions, right? So it's kind of, it's wasting my time, it's wasting your time, and you get what I mean. Like I don't want to. It's just when I get questions like that, I'm just like, all right, you know. All right, fuck. I just wonder if this is gonna work in production now. So we're gonna have to see in a second, right? So because I don't know, once we build it, I mean, we could try running the container locally, right? We could try doing that. So we could try building it, locally, right? So we could do pn API local. 2021, I will never use AI. I think if you can't code without AI, I think you probably have a problem, right? I think there's a massive misconception there. I think you can code without AI. Why should you is the question, right? Of course you can. That's like saying I never want to copy paste a single line of code from Stack Overflow, right? Why? It's just ridiculous. That's exactly. I mean, whatever you can use to make yourself more productive, go for it. It's not rocket science, right? I mean, honestly, yeah. All right. The only thing that I'm a little bit worried about is this migration file. So that's, but besides that, I think it's fine. All right. And this is also, we're kind of on a wrong branch as well, because this branch is actually merged. So we need a new branch. So let's say git checkout kinda, right? And actually, let me just do one thing here. It should be the latest versions that it installed, right? Yeah, okay, it is, sure. Cool, okay. Let's push this to production, fuck it. That's true, man. You know, a couple of weeks ago I was doing something at work, and I got so pissed at AI because it wasn't giving any reasonable response, right? And I started insulting it. And AI told me, like, can we please keep this civilized? And I was so scared, man. I'm like, I started apologizing to the AI. I'm like, yeah, this data will be saved somewhere and it will come from me, you know, one day when it can. So be careful what you tell to the AI, right? The thing is, like, more expertise you have in any profession, more value you have from the AI. For me, every single AI model so far has been almost like a miracle, right? Because I've done some of these things so many times that the value of me repeating them again is zero. So for example, doing certain API resources, doing certain UI stuff, like at one point in time, you know it so well that not using AI to do it, you're losing on value. And when I say you're losing on value, I don't mean just velocity as in speed of building code. It's literally your brain cells are dying writing the same thing for the millionth time. So this is where the AI, in my opinion, really shines. Is like, I no longer have to write the same crap as before, because now I can just automate it, because I know exactly how it should work, what I want. And actually, in fact, AI does make mistakes every single time, but you being there to guide it is what makes it amazing, right? So AI will make mistakes all the time, and I know when it does it. And this is kind of the fine line between people who are not technical and not experts and people who are technical. I can use it to generate a lot of code because I've wrote that same code so many times, right? So, and this is where, you know, asking the right questions also come from. When you know what you want because you've done it before, AI is fantastic. When you want something that you don't know because you haven't done it before, it's still very useful, but you don't have the expertise to know, okay, well, this thing is telling me to do something and I will do that something, but I don't confidently know that that's correct. So no matter how good it is, if you don't know something from your experience, you're always going to have a dose of doubt if what you're copy pasting is actually the way to do it, right? I would never expose my servers, my VPS, my Hetzner, my DigitalOcean servers to AI, right? That type of stuff is done by me through CI and CD and stuff like that, right? So I would never allow AI to get nowhere near my servers, right? No chance of that. No chance. I mean, that's like shooting yourself directly in the head with a gun, right? I would never do that. At least not for many years to come, right? Generating some front end and some bullshit, some buttons with AI, the price of things not working is very low. But any critical systems, you can't trust AI. Like, for example, the biggest problem why people say very very dramatic things such as programmers will be replaced is because when an average PM thinks about programming, they instantly think websites, almost as if programmers are only building websites. What these people don't understand is that people are building airplane software, people are building train software, people are building medical software. There's so much software that you use every day in your TV, in your fridge, in your fucking toaster, in the airplane, in the train, in the car. This stuff you don't write, right? You don't write it using AI, right? Do I have a rollback mechanism? Of course I do, of course. Of course I do. I mean, I can, but it's really all just a CI. If this doesn't work now, and it probably will not, I'll just roll back the... But it does work. Okay, good. It does work. We had somebody sign up. Thank you very much. That's kind of you. Santiago, thank you very much. Welcome to Programmer Network, man. I can show it to you in the CI, right? Of course, but there's not much to it. So if we take a look at our workflow file, right? That's really like... I mean, this is the whole beauty of CI, right? If this build has failed, I would have just clicked here and redeployed the previous one, right? So that's really all that there is to it. It's a standard CI/CD behavior, right? Of course, I don't have staging environment here. Keep in mind, this project is my side project that I do a couple of hours a month, right? So I don't have much time to work on Programmer Network, right? So I don't have a full-fledged setup for a 10-man team, right? Because I don't need it. I have one environment in the CI/CD, that's the production environment, and then of course locally I develop, right? But ideally here we would have had some staging environment or something like that, right? Where we push to staging, deploy it. But again, my local environment fully actually not almost, it fully mimics production environment. This is the beauty of infrastructure. If you can build your infrastructure fully, if you can fully automate your orchestrator locally to work, to mimic almost 100% your production environment, you can say that that's an amazing developer experience. So you know that if your Docker Compose or Swarm or Kubernetes runs locally properly, then things will work in production, let's say 99.9% of cases. Are you from Transylvania? Yes, I am. So that's basically how it is. Yeah. Shit. Okay, so that's good. Did we deploy successfully? We did. Very good. And these comments now should be loading, right? And they are. Very good. Okay, that's fixed. Super. All right, very good, very good, very good. Which repository is this now? This is documentation, never mind. This is API, right? Okay, so we need to go back a bit to the UI. I'm not from Transylvania, man. I'm just trolling you. I'm just having fun a bit. But I mean, if you want me to be from Transylvania, just as a matter of fact, for this part of stream, I don't mind, man. If you want me to be like Vlad the Dracula or something like that, I can roleplay that for sure. I can roleplay that for sure, man. I don't like that I have to cast this. I don't know why am I actually casting that. Yeah, exactly. Why the hell would I need to cast that? That's why, I guess. Okay, cool, cool, cool. Let's see what else do we have here. Let's nuke this bullshit. And Right, right. Okay, cool. So let's go to the UI yet again. Let's go to the dashboard. Let's get over here. I'm new. What are we doing? We're building a platform for programmers. Please actually sign up if you have a second. But right now I'm just fixing some features and stuff like that. And actually, I think we might have another. Give me 1 second. Hopefully, I have found another. Wait. I believe that because I've refactored a lot of crap. Huh. Where did I see that? Wait. Maybe under dashboard here. No. No. Okay. Sure. Sure. Own. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So let's continue with that. Social website for programmers. I'm the bravest man alive. Building the social platform for the most unsocial human beings on planet. You must be brave doing that. Trust me. Because everybody knows that programmers are very social, right? Strong social skills, you could say. Super strong. Jesus Christ, man. All right, cool. Alrighty. So next thing I want to do, because that's kind of what we built now, right? Let's go ahead and there are a couple of things I really dislike here, and that's maybe fine. What I dislike here, though, is that I should have probably defined this form instance outside of this form itself, because then the code would be a little bit cleaner. So let's maybe do that, right? We could clean this up slightly a bit, just so it's purely yeah. So let's do that maybe. So let's say a lecture form, because I am cleaning up. All of this platform is built inside of the stream, right? So but then we break some encapsulation. I've been writing Angular more than a decade ago, yeah. So I'm very familiar with it, but you need to ask a bit more concrete question, yeah. Yeah, right. So yeah, so technically you could say that we have some encapsulation in here. Did you watch Lex's latest podcast? I'm not sure who you're referring to. The guy that interviewed Trump and no, I did not. No, his podcasts are usually super long. Lex Friedman. No, I have not. No, I unfortunately have very little time for these types of exhibitions under quotes. So no. But he's a kind guy. I think he's a very smart guy. I like Lex. He's a good guy, I think. All right, so I guess you could say that in some sense it does make sense that, but we could then encapsulate this completely, right? That's a little bit problematic here, because we are using this selected core state anyway, right? We could encapsulate this stuff inside of each one of these forms. That way we don't need to kind of make this look so weird, right? And then we could even encapsulate, go as far and just keep this logic in each corresponding form itself, right? I don't see a reason why that wouldn't work. Because right now it's kind of half-baked, and you could say it's almost good, but it's not, right? But then we have some global state over here, right, that we kind of need to pass down to each individual form. Let's do a POC of one of them, right? So let's actually focus on this one. So if I take a piece of this Redux state, and we go basically somewhere over here. Yeah, so let's try that. I don't know how it's gonna turn, but it's worth giving a shot. So I'm gonna import that selector. And then if we take a look at this, what we're basically doing, what the data, what a lecture is whatever we grab or set inside of our Redux RTK store, right? So technically, that is really what the lecture here is, right? So let's say, well, you know what? You're not going to be getting lecture anymore. One sec. So that's going to be selected. Course state selected, yeah. And this you could say is lecture, right? Okay, cool. Sure. Then we can get rid of this, right? Yeah. Okay, let's see what else do we have. We're just gonna try a POC here. Yeah, we also technically have access to that there, right? So yeah, so yeah, I'm kinda a bit confident we can already achieve that directly, right? So we get selected state, which is the lecture, and then here we can just destructure that stuff, right? So we can say const whatever, yes, and then we can get rid of this crap, and this crap. Is cursor pro worth? I mean, of course it is. Everything. I mean, everything that. I mean, you have to define worth, right? That's a bit. It's you need to just formulate your question a bit more specific, because I don't know what worth is for you, right? But yeah. I mean, depends. I'm sorry. I have to say depends. You have to formulate it a bit. You need to be more clear what worth is, right? Because that's I cannot give you a vague response, because I don't know what worth would mean for you, right? Oh, I see. Wow. I have tried insertia. I don't know what insertia is. I've never heard of that. Is that like some AI stuff or whatever? I've never... Yeah, I don't know. Inertia. Yeah, I don't know what it is. If you can... How much can we depend on cursor as an average? I mean, you should be using these tools, man, for the sake of empowering yourself, right? How much you should use it is a relative thing, depending on your current expertise level and stuff, right? And of course, younger you are and more less experienced you are, more dependent. Okay. This is the reason why this question is incredibly hard to answer without being a typical influencer asshole is that we would need to formulate definitions in which we try to find the answer to that. Because let me put it this way. If we imagine the world where a software developer has to understand fundamentals as it used to be long ago, then you should probably use it with caution so you don't make yourself too dependent on it. The biggest problem with this argument is the assumption that we will have such an expectation from an average developer at all. Because maybe a new developer is a developer that's just prompting shit. right? So the problem is I can of course answer the question based on my own biases out of my own butthole, right? But what I think is meaningless because we don't know where a software engineer as a individual will end up and what the expectation will be. So for example, if in 10 years from now you actually don't need to know anything, you just write text and you generate apps, then you should use it today as much as possible. But if we try to preserve quality over quantity, which I doubt, then you should be careful making yourself dependent on something that if it didn't work tomorrow, you wouldn't be able to do anything, right? So of course, from some idealistic perspective, I would say, you know, try to do everything with understanding when you copy paste your code, blah, blah, blah. But then I don't know. Nobody knows. And those people that pretend that they know, they are lying. They don't know either. Everybody's making assumptions today. Nobody actually knows how this whole journey is going to end or where is it going to end, right? But fundamentally, as a human being yourself, try to be reasonable and try not to blindly accept things without having any idea how they work. Of course that you can't understand how every single thing all the time works. Nobody does that. There's no expert on this planet that understands every single piece of code, right? Because you don't have to know that. That's why we have libraries and stuff that we trust that what they're doing underneath is doing what we want and what we need, right? But we don't know where this industry is going to go. Maybe in 5-10 years from now, you will not need to know anything. Nobody will care. It's just like you're going to sit and write some garbage text, some natural language. Who knows, right? I don't know. I was fortunate to shape myself up these past 20 years as a programmer, so I just randomly happened to know fundamentals and details and all of this stuff because I had to do it for so many years. But if I'm a new developer today, I mean, I don't know. I don't know where would I go, right? Yeah, I think that is the only honest thing I can say. All right, let me continue with this. Ismail, hey buddy, good to see you. All right, so we're kind of encapsulating this now more and more. So, and then we have even these handle create, handle update, right? So you can see we can probably move these. Of course, man, of course. Just keep in mind, the best tip I can give to anyone, be very wary about any tips, any content creators of whoever you're following, whoever you're glorifying, right? Be careful about, just know that everybody is making assumptions, and some people, which is very dangerous, are not actually just making assumptions, they're pushing some of their own biases because they're building AI tools, blah blah blah. In reality, right, nobody really knows where we are going and what's happening, right? Of course, man, of course. I think, of course. If you would start over, I would like to, if I would over with wood or farm goats, please don't tell me that that's also hard work. I need mother. No, free space, I mean, that's fine, dude. I think many people will end up going back doing that as well. There's nothing wrong with that. I would do that easily. I would do anything in my life to feed my kids and my wife, right? And to protect my family, so it's we shouldn't be taking this too seriously. Hi Alex, do you think working with that team is better for learning? Right now I'm working solo for backend DevOps, but don't. I think working with people is always better, man. There's nothing more fulfilling. There's nothing more amazing than going to work. I run a team of 6 or 7 people at Dream Data where I work, and I can't wait tomorrow to go to work. To have lunch with my colleagues, to have a laugh on the hallway, to go out, sit by the sea and fuck around and do stupid, shitty jokes, right? So I don't think there is a single circumstance I can think of where, where working with people isn't better. And I'm not talking about productivity, about writing code. I'm just talking that we're social beings, and I think people would suffer from way less anxiety and stress and all of the shitty thoughts if they would surround themselves a bit more with people. That's why I'm not a remote worker enthusiast, if you may, nor I would ever suggest a junior to work from home, because learning to code is one tiny skill out of many other skills in life that you need. And the most valuable skills, which is why manager roles are paid so well, is to work with people. This is where that's why I'm paid more as a tech lead where I work, because my work is no longer just writing some shitty React components or writing APIs or infrastructure. It's getting to making other people work with each other, making other parties do things together, right? So should you go to the office if you have access to I mean, it's no brainer. It's no brainer, right? This is honestly, again, I'm not suggesting that everybody has to do this. It's up to people, right? But no brainer, right? Easy choice. If you have access to I empathize with those who maybe don't who don't have access to jobs in their area. I get that. There are circumstances in which some people don't have this chance. Office where I work is 10 minutes from me bike ride, and yeah. As an introvert, I do not have. I fully empathize with you, man. What can I say, Smile? I mean, if you want to combat being scared of being in the dark place, the way that you combat that is by going into the dark place, right? So I get you, and actually you might be even 100% correct. Who knows? Maybe you do want to remain as you are. Maybe you do want to keep your status quo about yourself, and that is perfectly fine. If you're comfortable with yourself and you're fine with who you are, and you don't want to grow more in that tiny area of personal development, that's also fine. But the way to handle the painful for me to handle with people is to be with people, right? That is the irony of it. So if you want to not have a feeling like that, then you should expose yourself to more people, right? But I hear you, man. Again, I would never enforce these things. I'm not saying everybody should go to the office. I think people should have a choice. I for sure agree. I also agree that some people do make a good choice as well, but many people make a very bad choice as well, and that is the problem, right? Because there's also a lot of propaganda, as I call it, about this, right? And I mean, this is when TypeScript is a little bit annoying, but that's fine. I love being in the office. I love my people, and that's just me. And they also love coming to work. And maybe I'm just fortunate. Who the hell knows? But yeah, that's just how it is, right? You also need to put in the effort. People, there's a lot of people expecting too many things, and they don't want to give themselves 1%, right? You're still a boffin. I don't know what that means, man. Like, what does it boffin TLC means? I have no idea what that means. You're still a boffin. What is a boffin? Person engaged in scientific. Is this a person engaged in a scientific or technical research? Boffin. Oh, okay. I guess I'm a scientist. Is that what you're saying? Boffin TLC. I have no idea. All right, maybe you can tell me what that means. Oh shit. Handle delete. Yeah, sure. No, I'm genuinely, I don't understand. I mean, my English is very, how would I say, very non-slangy, right? So I don't understand. Some of the youngsters, especially younger people, come here is like, I'm like, man, I have no idea what that means. I don't understand emojis. I don't use emojis and shit like that, right? So I don't know what these things. Try going back to an office environment after 5 years of working from home and isolated. The anxiety was a little too much, so now I'm back. So now back working from home. I see. That Ismail, that's fair enough, man. That's fair enough. What can I say? I'm not a psychiatrist. I would not dare to. I don't know, man. I empathize with you for sure, dude. I have no idea. I mean, it seems for sure that yeah, some people maybe just like your own example just can't deal with that, and that's. I believe that you are an exception to this rule for sure. All right, some of this crap. All right, I mean, yeah. So you could say that we have encapsulated that a little bit now. Which, let's see if it actually even still works, just for fun of it. And it should be, right? Yeah. So if we actually go back here now, again, where was it here, right? So the reason why I'm passing this handle cancel is because there is some global state here, which is the state in which we are in, like, are we editing and stuff, but we can technically also get rid of that and clean it up, because I believe that we do have, let's take a look at this. So we have the state transition state. Because, I mean, we're keeping this all in Redux RTK, right? We could, in theory, also keep that state in here. And that way we can clean some of this crap up, right? Because then this can technically also come from Redux RTK, right? So we could... we could extend it here, so we have the selected state, we have core state transition, and then we could have I mean, we could also have something like this, right? Let's actually see how I done it. Again, this was all been built inside of the stream very long ago. So now I would really just like to clean it up a bit. So if we actually get rid of this, and then we would need another dispatcher right there. That's fine. Okay, so let's but is editing course? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, we're gonna do that. Sure. Okay, so let's get over here. Let's extend that type, right? Then we're gonna have to create an extra reducer here. Sorry, we're gonna create a regular reducer here that just sets that state to whatever the state might be, right? And then we're gonna have to export that as well, right? So we're gonna have to get over here and say, hey, sure, cool. Okay, so that's very good. So now over here, we're gonna import that state to kind of cover up for this. And then we're gonna dispatch that bad boy there. Yes, sure. And then we're gonna have to dispatch this one here, right? And that I believe does this one, right? So, and the usefulness of this, you could say, is mainly, it's like, hey, why keep this in global state? Good question. There's some reasons. One good reason is mostly debugging, right? Because if we do this, we'll actually see now the state transition, right? Any reason to use RTK over... I think these are two fundamentally different things, right? I think I would say that's like mixing... that's like mixing apples and oranges, right? Context is an API for passing data across functions, right? If we are to simplify its description. Redux is a state machine, centralized state machine with it, which does a lot more than just that, right? And that's why you have things such as React Redux library, which is a context library for Redux in React, right? So it's not one or the other. They're very different things. Very different things. If you like to centralize your state transitions in a state machine, if you like to isolate your state transitions from your application logic and your UI, then that's one of the reasons why you would use a state machine in the first place, right? That is even more not related to this at all. You're now talking about web storage, which has no resemblance to this. You're talking about something very different now, right? And no, you cannot use cookies to store data like this. Cookies have limits of 31,000 characters, and you would never use cookies to store application state. That you would never do. Local storage you would, for some basic key value pairs usually, or parsing some stringified object, but also not really, no. Okay, so this is good. Now let's keep on going. Let's keep on going. So this is almost good, I guess. Now we can essentially also move this in there. Actually, what I'm going to do. So actually, yeah, so good. So the POC, if you may, is correct. So we can fully encapsulate these and get rid of all of this stuff. Right, and then we can simply, let's just get, and then we're gonna clean up a bit more. Let's just say here, const handle cancel, and then we're gonna have to import both of these bad boys. And now you could say that this form is self-contained, so it has all the state, it dispatches all the actions it needs. So these are very difficult things to discuss often because there are so many rights and so many wrongs when you're designing these types of things. When I say designing, I mean as a system itself. The reason why this form, this component can be in fact self-contained as is, like this, right, is because the state is global and state is consumed using the context, right? If that wasn't the case, then of course avoiding these props wouldn't be possible. And there's of course nothing wrong with props. Attributes are the most natural way to write HTML, right? Okay, let's see what we have here. We have the initial state. which doesn't really have to be part of this component. This can be also somewhere out. Dispatch is a function in Redux that dispatch is a function that calls another function, then in this case an action or an action creator that returns another function, and then we handle that action inside of a reducer. So dispatch basically just calls another action that then calls a reducer, combined reducer, and then we yield a new state from the store. All right, so that's cool. So that's very good, right? So now when this works, this is where AI can be useful. Now, instead of me doing this 3 more times for every single form, and this is what I personally use AI for, I could now tell it, hey, AI, you see what I did with lecture form? Well, please do the same with course form and section form. And in fact, I will do that now because, so you see, this is where AI is awesome. When you build something yourself, when you design it, when you like it, then you can use, as I call it, the AI, the regex on steroids, right? Global search in place on steroids. And I can now say, hey, given my lecture form and the fact that I've encapsulated my logic in there, I mean, I've been using Redux, man, and Flux for 15 years almost, right? And I've wrote my own version of Redux. So when you say confident, if you're referring to the skills of using these libraries, I could probably write Redux now from scratch in 2 streams, right? Not the full-fledged RTK, of course, so there's really no such variable involved there. I use Redux primarily because that's the only state machine library I mostly used ever on the web, right? I don't use Zustand or anything like this simply because I know Redux already, and there's nothing in it that I necessarily dislike sufficiently enough to switch from it, right? Because for me to switch from something that worked for me for many years, I need to have very good reasons, right? Not like tiny reasons. Like, it has to be at least 100% better, 200% better, right? It cannot be 20% better, whatever that 20% might be. So for me to switch from something that I know to something that I don't know, that other thing has to provide substantial value, right? So for example, a value isn't I've heard about it on YouTube or my favorite influencer is using it. That's not value. That's just bullshit, right? So I have to know, okay, I'm going to switch from this that I've been using for many years. Why? What it is that I'm going to get elsewhere. And then when I know that, the question then becomes, okay, is that sufficient, right? Okay, give me 1 second, fellas. So I've just fully encapsulated my lecture form. My lecture or in simple words, it now fully contains all the dispatches and subscribes to Redux state. Instead of getting them through props, now go ahead and do the same for course form, and for section form. All right, let's answer some questions. When to use Redux and when to context is enough. Again, as I said a couple of minutes ago, these are 2 fundamentally very different things, right? Context is a way to pass arguments across the stack of functions, and instead of using prop drilling and stuff, you can consume some data from some global scope somewhere. So that's what context is for. Redux is a full state machine. It's a way to handle state separated from your application logic, so you can take that state then anywhere and move it to another app if you want, right? So in order to understand fully the response of mine, you first have to understand the concept of what state machines are for. So this is not one or the other. Both complement each other. So that's why Redux is using React Redux library, so we can take a centralized object of data in our application and consume it in any components in our app. Of course, Redux, you don't really need Redux if you have a global state of 5 different properties, right? So typically you need a state machine if your application is big enough where you have, let's say, tens or hundreds of different state transitions, then it becomes very difficult to handle without a state machine, right? So for example, if you're building a social platform like myself here, where we have bunch of different features and there's a bunch of different asynchronous actions happening, there's just a lot of asynchronous stuff happening, then a state machine is a good idea. But if your application has a logged in user as a global state and that's it, then you don't need a state machine at all. You can just use, like you say, context, just have a singular object passed as a value. So that depends on the use case primarily, right? And this is, you just saw a perfect example of where UI is, where AI is incredibly useful, right? You do something, you design it, you do it, and then you simply go ahead and you say, okay, now I've done this, I'm not gonna do it, not gonna repeat it 3 more times, the same crap. Hey AI, do what I've just done. That's what we just did here, right? Have you tried checked X state? Unfortunately, no, I have not, no. To be very honest with you, I don't really follow much all of these libraries and shit, right? Primarily not because I'm lazy or anything. I genuinely don't have. Of course, well, you have to use it. It's not totally fine. You have to use it, right? It's not a question. I can. If you're using Redux with React, you have to use context, because you have to pass that data down the... Oh my god, Neo is here. Hey buddy, how you doing, man? I haven't seen you in a long time. Do I need Redux? Look, we cannot discuss technology like that, man. These questions are super vague, right? That when you ask me, do I need Redux in SSR, is equivalent if you ask me, hey Alex, should I buy a saw in my real life? Or if you ask me, do I need a parasol, Alex, right? I mean, it's impossible to discuss technical things on such a vague level, right? What do you mean, do I need? Need for what? What is your application? What are you building, right? It's impossible to formulate a question for you that would make sense other than just asking you more questions, right? So it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible to answer that. Do I need it? Well, Neo is here. Okay, nice. That stuff still works. Very good. And then, okay, very good, very good, very good. Okay. And then over here, what we are going to do as well, which is what we did in the lecture form, is we're gonna actually grab our form actions that we've implemented as part of our core library, right? So we're gonna go over here. Yeah, right? So I believe it's this whole part, yeah? So we're gonna do this. Do you know windsurf? I know that it exists. I've never used it. Is it better? Yeah, I mean, we would have to define better, right? I don't think there's better or worse. I just think that depends what you're doing, right? You can use any model. You can switch between different models, right? So if I open the chat, you can see here I can switch between these few of the predefined models, but I can also include different models. So depending what you're using, right? Depends what you're using. Better or worse. These are, again, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to give, I'm actually quite the opposite. I'm trying not to give shitty responses, but I never can answer things such as better and worse in programming, because that's so relative always. It's so relative, right? All right, we'll need to clean that up. You sure depend on the task always. I don't know what you mean by that. Can you elaborate? All right, so very good, very good. Oh, no worries, no worries. I genuinely, I mean, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep the track on chat, but also to build some features here, right? So no, it's fine, man. I like to discuss different things, so it's don't. Okay, yeah. So basically over here, right? Let's see what we have. So we have this dispatch here, and technically now, I guess. Okay, let's try to do a couple of things, because there's certain things here that I dislike and can be improved, right? So we could say, let's see what we have here. So we have section. All right, we'll clean that up. It doesn't really matter. It's not cool. Nowadays, many people complain about not being able to find a job in programming. I mean, programmers for sure will be needed for many decades to come, but for some time now, it's going to be tough before it's great again. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've been working for many years now non-stop, so I haven't had that issue. But things were different back then, right? So I don't know. I see that a lot of new developers, a lot of junior developers are complaining, and I empathize with them. But again, nobody knows, right? I mean, I just have to say, everybody is the whole internet is talking about the doom of programmers, the doom of this, the doom of that. The only really truth is nobody knows, man. I don't think that there's anyone there that knows really what's gonna happen, right? Will we have a video explaining this project? Not Kevin, no. I'm not building this project for the sake of streaming. I mean, I stream 2-3 times a month. I'm building this as a product. That's why I also want you to sign up and help me build this. I am whatsoever recording a course for Udemy on infrastructure. It's called Infrastructure for Startups. This is my roadmap, so I will start recording videos as a course soon. Programmer Network, I mean, I can explain you some infrastructure of it if you want now. I don't know what exactly do you want to know, but I can actually go ahead now and do it for you a little bit. And maybe for others in case anybody cares. So Programmer Network project is hosted on Hetzner on a dedicated server, and we can actually maybe open it up here. Yeah, so this is and I don't know why is this opening a fucking white theme? It's so annoying. I don't know if I can change that somewhere. Okay, give me one moment. No, man, it's fine, dude. Like, dude, if I didn't want you guys, again, as I said many times, to interrupt me, I will just leave, stop the stream, and that's it. It's no problem for me, man. I do this only for fun. That's all. All right, so if we open it up here. So this is the programmer network infrastructure. So as I said, this is a dedicated server on Hetzner. It's a German company, 20 years old. It's older than Azure and some of these services. And everything is hosted on a server that I'm paying here. So the server has 4 virtual CPUs, 6 GB RAM, and I'm paying around 20 euros a month. What is to say? I have a... Maybe we can start with the UI. So we have the front end. Front end is the only thing that's hosted separately. It's hosted on Cloudflare pages. So my UI, when you go to Programmer Network, is hosted here. And everything else is done by me manually, basically. So we have a Hetzner firewall where we allow traffic only from Cloudflare IP ranges. So basically think of it as the only traffic that can come directly to our server is from the Cloudflare IP ranges. So I have configured a unified firewall for that. So the traffic has to come from either IPv4 or 6 here. So that's what we do here. So we have Cloudflare in front of our server. Then we have Nginx internally just for reversing our SSL certificates every 90 days. We have a cert bot there. So we have some endpoint exposed. Then I have my Grafana, Prometheus, and my whole telemetry kind of, you would say, or observability project. So we have Alert Manager, Prometheus, Node Exporter. So we have a few of these Docker images for observing the performance. So we have Prometheus, Grafana, Promptail, Loki, etc., etc., etc. Then we have our Fastify API, our Node.js API. We have image classifier, so when you upload an image, I'm running a not safe for work TensorFlow model for validating that the image that you upload isn't the sexual content and stuff. This is actually is not there. Actually, I don't know what the fuck is this. No, also not there. And then this is the scheduler that I haven't finished yet. I'm not going to talk about it. Then I'm using Postgres, of course, and Redis. So we have 2 databases, one for optimizing, some for caching. And we have Postgres as our database. So that's practically it. But I'm recording a course on infrastructure, which is way more in-depth than this. There's, of course, a lot of details here. Like when you're doing your own infrastructure, it's a lot of work and you have to have knowledge about this. But this is typically how. So when you go to Programmer Network to the website, that's where that's how things work. But it's a work of art. No, I mean this is just a common knowledge that developers used to have many years ago, right? So it might appear as something fascinating today. I don't think it is. I think every person calling themselves senior should know, at the very least, understand what I just spoke about, right? At the very least, right? But times are changing and everything else with the times change as well. So, yeah. I'm using, so the course that I'm also recording is, I mean, also this entire setup is using Terraform, yeah. So of course I have. The whole setup is using Terraform, right? Infrastructure as a code is ideal, and whenever you can achieve it, you're very happy. Alrighty. Okay, going back here. Okay, but before I continue, let me just do one thing before I forget. So because I have these tags now, let's go back to the boring user interface, right? I know it's not exciting for most people. It's not exciting for me either. My pleasure, man. My pleasure. My pleasure. Never underestimate importance of having these skills, right? Because once this AI hype is over, and once you need experts to fix things for you, then it's going to be very tough for a lot of companies. Can you explain Terraform in one sentence? I can. Let me try to compose that sentence in my head. Let me try to just think of a sentence. Yeah, so Terraform is a tool where you can describe your infrastructure as code and deploy your infrastructure without clicking any buttons or dragging any scroll bars, etc., etc., etc. Yes. So in simple words, Terraform enables you to not just plan and execute your infrastructure by writing declarative files, but also by having a commit log of infrastructure changes that happen in your infrastructure. So for instance, if you're using GCP, Google Cloud Platform, AWS, Azure, and any of these, one of the very annoying things is auditing and having a commit, having a log of changes. So when you're using user interface tool, I want another Cloud Run instance, I want a API gateway, I want APG, I want, I want, I don't know, a Vertex AI app, etc., etc. When you go and click around, there's no history or trace of that. When you're doing infrastructure as code, you're fundamentally also diligent in whenever you want to know who changed something infrastructure-wise, you can go to your Git and you can see, oh, Alex has updated, Alex has provisioned another service. Oh, Alex has changed the firewall rule on Cloudflare, etc., 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 right? I do not. So for Programmer Network, I've done authorization authentication myself. My pleasure. So Programmer Network, when you go to programmer.network, if you go here, this is done by me. So I'm not using any. I'm not using any service. And main reason is COGS, right? When you build products, you have to take a look. You have to think about costs of goods sold, right? So of course, not to repeat that same thing again, unless, yeah, it's another huge discussion, right? So short answer, no, I built authorization and authentication myself. To be honest, Kevin, I'm not a fan of AWS. I don't have any expertise in AWS. I mean, I know a lot about infrastructure, and I'm sure that I could handle AWS relatively easily, right? But I'm not super familiar with their acronyms or aliases for certain services. So AWS, I have actually made many years ago, I've used AWS in one of the companies where I worked. We mainly used S3 and some other things. I've also used Amazon SES for emails and stuff, but I don't always know, because it's true, they do have some of their own services mimicking some of these other certain tools, right? For example, when it comes to Terraform, you also have OpenTofu, and OpenTofu is a truly open source infrastructure as code tool, right? So because Terraform has recently changed their licensing, unfortunately, which made a lot of people just abandon the project fully. All right, I have no idea what I was doing. So many nice questions. My mind is completely lost. Okay, I actually do remember. Okay, so what do we have? Programmers. Yeah, I mean, I think it's only complicated because these assholes there decided to make it complicated. I think infrastructure, if you're just sticking to, let's say, Docker, Docker Compose, Docker Swarm, Kubernetes, the terminology is almost, you could say, standardized. But once you go between GCP, AWS, because I don't also blame them, right? I mean, when you go to GCP, AWS, Azure, these guys have hundreds of different services, right? And they had to give them some names. So that's, and which is also why you have things such as AWS expert, certified expert, GCP certified expert, Azure, right? Because you have people who like focus on some of these platforms, and then they sell themselves like that. Do you have fear that your own auth implementation might have flaws, issues that an attacker can abuse? How do you know if your auth is good enough? How do you know that your auth is good enough? But this is a matter of experience, right? This is a matter of asking the right questions, right? Because, I mean, I think your question is very good, and I can't give you an answer really like security and infrastructure is something that's for reason abstracted into the cloud, right? Because GCP, AWS, and then if you talk about authorization, authentication, Auth0, Propel Auth, and a lot of these services, these SaaS services, you pay a lot more money to use them, but they have a team of experts only focusing on these specific cases, right? So there's no certainty in security. Security is never certain, right? Security is a dynamic thing, and you don't make your product secure today and you're secure forever. You have to update your dependencies, you have to do the networking properly, you need to do your servers, you have to set up your servers properly, you need to make sure you're not exposing ports and services and passwords and envs and file permissions. So security is a very wide concept, right? And security is not like somebody's gonna DDoS my API. That's not security. That's one out of 1,000 things that exist when we talk about security, right? So it depends, of course, where your services are hosted. But in your case, right, you have to have a basic checklist of things when it comes to authentication, because authentication, if you let's imagine you self-host your passwords. Let's imagine you have implemented local authentication yourself. You have an email and a password, right? So a user enters a combination of the two. You validate in the API that the email does match the password when it was hashed, blah, blah, blah. And now user is in. So what is the security on your end? Well, now you're hosting passwords yourself in your own database, right? So you need to ensure that your own infrastructure, your own database that's hosted somewhere is not accessible by someone else, has a strong password, blah, 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 right? So, but as long as you're using OAuth, right? As long as you're using, for example, stuff like LinkedIn OAuth, Twitter OAuth, whatever, then the things that you're doing are relatively marginal, right? But there are many things in the product that fall under the security category, right? Are you sanitizing your input? Are you exposing passwords to your API? What about your, what about your CSP, right? What about your course, right? So there's a lot of layers of security, and that's why security is tough, because you need to think about the UI, about the APIs, about the databases, and then about your host machine, etc., 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 right? So it's a very long subject of things, right? And no, I do not fear attackers. No. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to I see. Okay. All right, good. All right, so I need to extend this type here, if you may. And I will extend it by having some React node potentially being, so let's call this element. Yeah, that's too generic, way too generic. Let's call this an icon or whatever. But we're gonna make that optional. And if I go to courses,
So these are the actual props. Wait.
Yeah, sure. And I just want to test it. And we are in a file, it's not a TS. It is a... No, I don't like that. I don't like that. Let's call it... navbar options. Options. Sure. Get the visible options. Mm-hmm. So why is this not rendered yet? Let's see. Mm-hmm. Sure. Ah, I see. I see. Very good. Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. Good. All right. So, yeah. All right. Cool. Okay. Very good. Okay. So what I want to do here now is I want to say, hey, you know what? If there's a class name, add a class name if whatever, if option.element literally just exists, and add a class name called flexgap2, whatever, right? And then over here we're gonna just say, hey, whatever that is, render it like this. And then here I suppose we want to say items start or justify start. I don't know. Why is it being pushed down a bit now? I don't know. Yeah, no, actually, fuck that. No, sorry, my bad. Let's not. That's a bit dumb. That's a bit dumb. So because this guy now gets the element as well, right? Yes. So now we can actually render it in here as well. All right, there we go. Sure. Interesting. Yeah, fuck, I really dislike that. But it doesn't matter. Give me a second. Let me just go back here. So what I want to get here is that's what we kind of built in an hour ago. Is this badge, right? And then we're gonna say variant is gonna be, hopefully we can update that enum from somewhere. Yeah, we can, and it's gonna say alpha or beta, whatever. But then there's no children there. JS, hey buddy. Yeah, man. I don't know. It's, you know how it is. It's very tough to I'm with you, man. It's hard to kind of. Some people, yeah, like it. Some people. Who the hell knows, right? Let me actually restart this container. How you doing, man? I mean, I've removed the customization now just for the sake. You remember I built that theme builder or whatever back long ago, but yeah, that has been nuked, unfortunately. Good, man, good. I mean, I haven't been. I'm also streaming rarely. I mean, it's been yeah. I haven't been. I also stream 2-3 times a month, maybe at best, right? So you haven't really. Yeah, you haven't really missed too much, to be honest with you, man. Shit. Okay, so we are in fact exporting badge types, yeah. Yeah, we are exporting it, right? So yeah, so that's weird, right? So how are we? Nah, that's not correct. Wait, that's our internal types here, but what about the programmer network ones? How was I uploading those? Let's actually also just reload the instance of this cursor thing, because potentially this is fine. Yeah, but that's not the correct way to, yeah. Badge types, yeah, right? All right. There we go. Jesus Christ, man, so hard. All right, so I am in fact yeah, I don't like this, to be honest. I think that should potentially be fine, but yeah, should be. Fuck you. Okay, let's restart this again. Front and restart. I don't know. I don't know why is it not resolving this type, to be honest with you now. I don't know. And why does it resolve others other than maybe not actually exporting it there? I have no fucking idea, man. We'll need to... Let's actually go back there. Because I believe we did export stuff properly, right? And then also if we go to badge, whatever, we go to types, yeah, it is exported from here. Nice, man, very good. As I always say, dude, nothing beats building. Just keep on building, man. No matter what it is. If it solves a problem, if it solves a problem for your friend and makes some of the customers happy, dude, absolutely go for it. More power to that, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't genuinely know. I mean, let me literally try to just nuke this container. And let's restart our shell script. Let's run this shell script again. Have no fucking clue what's going on, dude. No idea what's going on, bro. Yeah, everything's fine. It definitely exists. Alright, fuck it. I don't feel like fixing that now. So I'll just try to bypass it somehow. Because it really just has to show some crap. And that's ugly like fuck. It's a bit too radical, yeah. So we'll need to, maybe I'll need to redesign that as well. It doesn't actually matter. I'm just gonna leave it there as a placeholder for now. I'm not gonna deploy it yet anyway. And then I really shouldn't need to do this, right? Or was some of that there already? Oh yeah, that's all. This was already there, right? So actually, I'll just leave that thing there as it was. That's fine. And then somewhere I have this utility where I get these things from. Yeah, somewhere here. Yeah, exactly. So it's this bad boy here. So I'll fix that type some other time. It's fine. Let me just smack this thing here. So over here we're gonna say shit, need to keep doing this. Here we're gonna say class name. Yeah, exactly right. Sure. No, not really, no. Or maybe not, okay. All right, I'll leave that there. I'll leave that there, and I'll do the same for pretty much the same for meetups. And then we're good with that. And then I'll do it some other time when I have the time, because I need to make sure that it doesn't inherit whatever. Yeah, super simple. I mean, all of this is simple in its own way. From a technical standpoint, it's just UI is very difficult to do right. Cool. Okay. Yeah, there's this one. Publishing a course should also update. Yeah, let's actually try that one. That's an interesting one. Very simple ones, all of them. Just take a little bit of time. So if I go here and create a new course, hopefully. What happened there? Wait. So if I get here and I say a new course, do some shit like this, premium, create. We need to pass that stuff. Create it. Let's see, is our API running? What the hell is happening? All right. Yeah, this is because we've also updated. Let's make sure that, didn't we like refactor this form now like 20 minutes ago? I think we had. Yeah, we had. Okay. Let's go to course form, because that's what we've also changed dramatically, right? Yes. Exactly, right? Yeah, sure. I believe it's this one, right? Yeah. Let's just say whatever, man. Banana, right? Yeah. So we are looking at the banana, and we can see that that got a little bit messed up. Fine, that's very good, no problem at all. So what we're gonna do here, we'll comment this fella out, and we're gonna say as well, we're gonna say, actually, if I search for form actions, this new thing we just implemented in other places, right? We can get this bad boy here and then smack it in here. We'll import it from our core library. And of course we need to adjust it now to, so on cancel, handle cancel, there's really no deletion here, so we're gonna nuke that one. And then we have handle creator update over there, right? Sure. Okay, so now we are getting something. A new course, 1, 2, 3. Free. Sure, save. Is this actually, we're probably having some validation now issues over here, right? In case we're even dispatching this properly. If we take a look at the store, are we actually, no, so there is a problem. And it's probably a validation issue, right? So let's see, did I change something in the backend? Most likely. All right, so we are calling this fella. We are passing validation, it seems. Let's just add some logs here. Valid, sure. So we get to the valid form point. And then this is where we are. So do we actually get to that point there? We do. Okay, what the hell is happening? Oh, I see. And then this is the problem most likely, right? Because this is wrong. Okay, so AI has farted there, right? There's no core slug in this context, right? So that is a bit problematic. Okay, good, fine. And it can actually be, right? But we don't handle create course, so basically we just don't need this piece of line here, right? Handle create what? Makes absolutely no sense. Mm. I mean, it can't yet, but maybe one day. But it's still very, very far from that. The thing is, I mean, people have to understand one fundamental thing about tasks which are repetitive. And anything on this planet that's repetitive, including programming, will eventually, if not already, be automated, right? And in fact, it should be, right? But every real product out there is far from something autonomous, right? And that is why you will always need programmers. It's not because AI can't write this code. It's because you have so many cases of things that aren't generic, that aren't declarative, that are in a way, can you do this? So there's so many of these cases where you need a human to think as well, right? Not just a machine to give something to, right? Because you will at the very least need somebody to talk to that machine, even in a natural language, right? So yeah. I don't know the process of generating the store. Ismail, before you get there, can you tell me why it is that you want to do that? So what is your plan? Is it a learning project? Is it some business idea, etc., etc.? Can you? I mean, actually, it doesn't even matter if you don't want to go there. I'm actually genuinely interested. Why? A learning project, I see. I don't know the process of generating the store. Can you... I'm not sure what it is that you want to generate. Sorry, I'm confused. What do you mean generate a store? What do you mean? Man, is there like... Seriously, do I not have a create course? I do. So what the fuck is this, man? Why is this... I'm so confused, dude. Yeah, but that's not how it works, man. So sure, I get you, but that's not how it works. You're not going to be generating HTML files. You're just going to be creating documents in your database, right? When somebody creates their store, that doesn't relate to generating files, right? I mean, imagine that you sign up on Programmer Network and I generate files, right? For every single user. And right now on Programmer Network, we probably have more than 2,000 users that signed up. So imagine that I generate these files for every single one of them, right? So it's not going to be generating any files. You're just going to be, you need to define your data models, right? Your tables and stuff. And the store is going to be some, just like the user on Twitter or Programmer Network or Facebook is. That's what's going to store be in your case, right? Okay, very good. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. So that's good now. The only thing we really need to do when we do that, we need to navigate there now. But there are a few still UX things to fix, right? So if I go back here now. I mean, dude, I think you're just scared like many other people, right? I think you're just scared like many other people, and that is perfectly fine. I think honestly, a lot of people today have exactly that problem, that they're very afraid. Because look, I've spent past 20 years doing this same crap, right? And am I, because of that, having a hard time accepting that a lot of your effort, not all of it, but some of it, is gonna go to shit to some degree? Sure, right? But that doesn't change the reality, right? I mean, reality is that programming for 40 years now has been becoming more and more accessible. Again, as I said many times, this today has nothing to do per se with AI. If there was no AI, there would be something else. Think about it this way. 30 years ago, we programmed in assembly in a very, very low level. Then Pascal, COBOL, PHP, Visual Basic, etc., right? So programming as a core discipline has been diminishing in value for decades. This is not a phenomenon, this AI. AI is just another level of abstraction that we've been trying to reach as humanity for decades, right? Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't need programming. The world needs products, right? So programming has always been a blocker for society, right? There's nothing fascinating about programming for non-programmers. Like, so what you're saying, JS Maniac, is like, I agree with you. I'm also a developer, so you could say that even I am to some degree sad in the way that things are going, or maybe not. It doesn't really matter what my personal perception is. But besides us programmers, the whole world doesn't want programming to be what it is, because programming is really a bottleneck in a process of building products. So humanity wants and needs and will for sure obsolete writing gibberish in order to build services and products that humanity needs. You get what I mean? So think about like those farmers 150 years ago saying fucking tractors are gonna take our shovel yielding jobs, right? They were probably also thinking, oh, these fucking tractors, I mean, who the hell, this tractor is going to replace 50 farmers, right? Manually digging dirt, right? So I'm with you, but programming will and should be obsoleted at one point in time to some degree. Of course, we will never remove programming. Programming will always exist. Somebody will have to maintain these LLMs and these servers and these computer networks and all of this, right? But building certain generic things will, without a doubt, be obsoleted to some degree. And it has been already decades, like a decade or two ago, right? So look at it this way. Already for 10 years now, you can buy things such as Firebase, Superbase, and all of this fucking shit, and you can build applications without knowing nothing about databases, for example. So this has nothing to do with AI. We have already started building services long ago that remove the technical necessity for people, or remove the underlying details from people so they can focus on building things, right? So in simple words, programming is, for the most world, except us developers, a bottleneck that we have to fix. And it is, right? Because there's nothing fascinating about writing HTML or APIs or CPU drivers or kernel, right? Because if you were the business owner today, you would also be thinking, fuck man, I wish that I can just build this cheaper and I can focus on building products for people to pay for versus wasting time on some gibberish low-level code, right? So that's just how it is, man. Don't feel bad. I mean, things that are inherently repetitive and generic will be fixed. There's no questions about that. Do you think that cloud system and network engineering I mean, I honestly think that, for example, I'm a tech lead. I work as a tech lead, and I think that value of very, very good programmers is going to increase, because you will still need people with experience and a lot of experience. The biggest problem right now for the world is knowing what to do with junior entry-level developers. So I, for example, don't feel in any way in danger with this AI thing, because in fact I actually think the opposite. I think it's actually better for me, because if you now hire a tech lead today, an expert, a staff engineer, like I can do probably a job of 5 people with this AI, right? So that's not the problem. The problem isn't what do we do with the existing people who can do this job. The problem is like, what do we do with people who are just finishing school, and how do we justify paying them insanely good salaries while they're being massive liabilities still? Because entry-level developers were always a liability, right? Like any junior in any industry, when you hire a person, is liability, is not an asset, right? So when you hire a new person out of school, right, give us the shot. I agree with you, man. I agree with you. I mean, but I don't have that power, right? I mean, I agree with you that so this is the unknown. Nobody actually knows, right? Nobody knows what's gonna happen with this. When it comes to experts, I'm not afraid. I think hiring existing seniors and tech leads and team leads and whatnot, staff engineers, is a very good thing, right? We deserve to do this. Be very careful about the word deserve, man. I'm a realist. I'm not a leftist, rightist, optimist. I'm a realist. Word deserve doesn't exist in my vocabulary. Nobody deserves shit, man. You only deserve what you fight for and get. So I would be very careful with that usage of that word. You deserve nothing, man. I deserve nothing. Nobody deserves anything. In a world of capitalism, you deserve what you earn and what you fight for. There is no implicit rewards or indirect or whatever, right? So nobody deserves anything, man. If you think that you deserve something, then there's around 945 million people starving to hunger today. You haven't earned shit, man. No. You haven't earned shit, man. If you think that you finished school and that means something, no, it doesn't. Because if you think so, then there's a billion young children not having food on their table, then they also didn't deserve that. So let's not talk about who deserves what. That is just, I don't operate like that, at least personally. There's a possibility that yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I'm talking out of my asshole like everybody, right? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I do empathize with young people. I do empathize. You gotta. I empathize with people, of course. I cannot sit here and pretend to be some fucking whatever. For sure, it's been easier 10, 15 years ago. It's been easier. The market hasn't been so overly saturated. That is the reality and the truth. Everything else is just a bunch of people throwing opinions about things that we don't know, literally. I mean, top-notch experts on this planet don't know what the AI thing is going to yield long-term, not short-term. So it's just be very careful with words such as I deserve this and that. You don't deserve shit, right? If world operated on basis of what we deserve, then world would be a very different place. What distinguish between junior and senior? I mean, well, first and foremost, I mean, of course, and this is gonna sound silly, but it's true. Your ability to sell yourself as a senior, number one. I know that sounds silly, but do not underestimate the ability to prove that you are what you say that you are, right? In simple words, you can have a self perception. There is no fucking standards among people these days. I'm a realist again. There's no standards, yes. So I deeply, on a human level, Urban, I agree with you. So in some ideal world of ideals, you're right. But we don't live in such a world, right? So I was talking about that. So and then of course, seniority refers to your experience that you can prove, of course. And simply, so some hard skills and mostly soft skills, right? So a senior is a person that, for instance, knows when not to write code. A senior is a person that can guide others, that can help others, that can push back, that can push forward, that can share their ideas, that they can articulate their ideas and win people over. A person that's proactive, not reactive, person that doesn't wait for others constantly to tell them something, etc., 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 right? So it's long. And I'll need to round up, guys. I've been streaming for 4 hours. There's a lot of things, right? I mean, there's so many discussions we have started, and please, whenever I'm streaming next time, I don't know when that's gonna be my guest, and of course, come and join. I don't know when I will stream. But yeah, there's, I mean, we could speak here for 50 hours, right? There's so much to say. All right, I'm gonna go be with my wife and kids and maybe go to the gym. Just, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've streamed last time, maybe 7 to 10 days ago, yeah. All right, fellas, well, thank you very much. If you have a minute, please go and sign up on Programmer Network. That's gonna definitely incentivize me to stream more. It goes both ways, right? Effort has to be put both ways to some degree. So if you enjoy my insights and my opinions, again, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one. Be careful with my opinions as well. At the very least, please go and sign up, visit the platform here and there, leave a comment, leave some feedback. This is how you can chip in and help if you wonder how. And if you do so, of course, I'll do my best to show up more and to share my experience with you guys. Thank you very much. I wish you well. And PJ Boy, my pleasure, man. Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. Have a great one.